Right, so UEFA Champions League quarterfinal first leg game at the Estadio Luis Companys. Barcelona getting a heavy victory over Borussia Dortmund. It was actually a one-sided affair. Nothing interesting about the game. And you talk about defenses at this stage of the UEFA Champions League. And for Borussia Dortmund, it was non-existent. I've never seen a team actually play like this. A highly competitive game without an actual defense. And you ask what they've been doing in the German Bundesliga. How can you play and just leave, your defense with so much spaces to be exploited? But then Barcelona, they still continue, with their surge to win another UEFA Champions League title. At this point, you could just say emphatically that they are the best team in the world and then also one of the favorites, if not top two, to actually land the title. But then we'll be discussing what actually happened during the game. Lewandowski has scored 40 goals for Barcelona this season alone, 40 goals. And then also Raphinha has been involved in 50 goals for Barcelona this season. So together, when you add these two, that's close to 100 goals between Raphinha and then Lewandowski. What a productive season they are having, right under their manager, Hansi Flick. And if also you think that Barcelona are the favorites at this point, because the winner of that tie ends up facing the winner from the tie between Bayern Munich and then also Inter Milan. I have two gentlemen in the studios who will be helping me, with the conversation. Atiga Maoli first to my extreme left, and then also to my immediate left is Delali. Welcome, gentlemen. I was asking how you play Champions League without a defense. I've not seen anything like this before. This is the same team that found itself in the finals of the same competition last season, just less than a year ago, and all of a sudden you get battered at this stage, and it looks like there's no way back for them. It could have been worse, but now we're wasteful on the day. Delali, I've never seen anything like this. It was atrocious from
I think it was pretty much bad defense, because going to the game, I think one thing that was very obvious with Barcelona's side, even if you don't need a video analyst or a special skill to tell you that Barcelona's side are a very literal side that goes at opponent and score a lot of goals. You mentioned the statistics of both players.
Charlie,
this
huge,
is with the exception of Lamine Yamal goal contribution. So it tells you the kind of squad they have and the ability to score goals. So you go against a team like that and just open your defense and just go out and say, come and score me, I'm there, come and score. Basically, that's what Borussia Dortmund did. And I was pretty much furious about how the game ended up, because at this stage of the Champions League, you would expect the game to be a bit more competitive, slightly a bit more competitive. At least. And I was said, it's quite disappointing to see Dortmund show up in this stage and open up that much. And it was more like, we are here, just come and beat us and go. And Barcelona, obviously, this is a day that Barcelona really even didn't need to do much. They just had to just play basic football and win. Because I was complaining that I'm not happy with how Barcelona themselves played, because most of the goals that they scored were as a result of trying to play a system that I believe was not really even efficient. Go, cut back, try and find a striker and a third run and score. Because before a team decides to score that kind of goal, then they realize that your defense is very poor. Because it takes a lot of touches in the box to score a cutback. That means the pass has to go all the way down there and come back for someone to. That means defenders are not existing. That's the level of football that we just watched in this. I think looking at the fact that the Madrid Arsenal game and even Inter Bayern were a bit more competitive, this has really
too one-sided. First, it's two things. Either you tell me Barcelona are just too good, or Borussia Dortmund are just too bad. I don't know which one you go for.
What Josiah, you can try as much as possible to juxtapose the performance of Barcelona as against that of Dortmund. But at the end of the day, you look at the gulf in quality. You understand? I mean, we are talking about a team that last season was in the finals of the Champions League, to the extent that they nearly won the Champions League. You understand? So we cannot just take it out of a vacuum that they have been that poor. Yes, they are poor, because if you look at their competitiveness, even in the German Bundesliga, they are non-existent. I think they are like 7th, 8th. You understand? So it just tells you the drastic drop in form from what they did last season to what they are doing currently. But up against Barcelona, everybody knows. You understand? If you understand football, you know that it's going to be a Herculean task for them to get a point, against Barcelona. But yet again, you ask yourself, how were they able to get into the quarters? You understand? I mean, they beat Leo.
Yeah.
Right. So, and how competitive were they against Leo? I can tell you for the fact that all the teams that qualified to the quarters would have beaten Leo handsomely. But look at the level of difficulty that they faced in beating Leo. So that should even tell you that what among the bunch that are in the quarters, Dortmund are the weakest. If you look at Inter, if you look at Bayern, if you look at Arsenal, if you look at Barcelona, if you look at Madrid, if you look at Aston Villa, no, Aston Villa this season, Aston Villa this season, are playing very well. You understand? Is it way ahead of?
Oh, you think so? A team that made it to the finals of the competition.
You just have to see the statistics this season. How competitive they have been, the opposition they have been able to face, and how they have fared. You understand? These are the kind of analysis that you will have to do to know how good a team is. And that is what we are doing. So against Barcelona, I felt the game was too, I don't want to say easy, it was too uncompetitive. You understand? Because Dortmund came not to play, and especially Girassi. I mean, they had two clear chances in the early stages.
That could have changed the narrative.
That could have changed the narrative of the game. Because imagine if you had gone 2-0 up against Barcelona, it could have changed the complexion of the game. But if you are going against Barcelona and then you are creating chance, you are not going to get enough chances against Barcelona. That is why, as a centre forward, as a striker, you have been tasked to at least, if you get two chances, to take one out of them. So it gives you a certain level of momentum and confidence against such, because you know that at the end of the day, Barcelona is going to create a host of chances. Are they going to take them? They have been able to take 4 out of the chances that they've been able to create. So it just tells you that what? Yes, whatever that we had envisaged, whatever that we had anticipated that is going to happen, it's exactly what had happened. So I am not surprised. I am not, taken aback by the chances that they've been able to create and the amount of goals that they've been able to score.
But was it even prudent? I don't. If you are coming up against a Barcelona team, a team that has scored more than 130 goals this season, they are very lethal. Is it prudent to say, okay, I'm not going to defend, let me just attack, at least, because I know Barcelona will attack? So it all boils down to who ends up being more lethal and ruthless in front of goal. Was it even, the best game plan from?
I think it was a bit more reckless. And
but would you even opt to defend against Barcelona?
I see, because the system was more like a 4-2-3-1 style of play. But even in the game, they were not like that. They were more offensive and left too many spaces behind. And sometimes when you try and play against a team which has players that are very great on counter breaks, and I think that's Barcelona's strength. Barcelona are very good on transition. They have very fast Raphinha, Lama, players that are very fast on break, and they don't need to take a lot of touches before they come into your box. That means that if you are going to be very, very offensive, you need players that are very quick in recovery. And that's what Dortmund struggle with. Because most of the times when Barcelona go on the counter breaks or in the transition, the turnovers are really, really dangerous for Borussia Dortmund. And for me, that's something that they needed to know, that you are going to play against one of the, by far in Europe, one of the best attackers in Europe. Lamine Yamal, Raphinha, Lewandowski in the midfield, up front. I think, if I'm not exaggerating, this should be one of the best forwards you can play against.
I think so.
Like Lamine Yamal, Lewandowski as arrowhead. How many go enough in the world football now? Typical number 9 that you can find, just like Lewandowski in the team. Teams in Europe now will kill for a player like that. Even teams that are playing
even at his age.
Yes, even at his age, a lot of clubs will be happy to have him in their squad. How much more flanked by these exceptional players who will give him passes that he does not need to struggle to score. Look at the header he scored. It was basically 1 inch away from the box, and he scored a brilliant goal. So what I'm just trying to say is that strikers are as good as the chances that they create for them. Barcelona squad has one of the best players that can easily create the chances for you. And so if you're a side that you're going to play against them, Dortmund, their German side, they trust their transition, they trust the ability to also be very, very offensive. But I think at least they needed to show a little bit of respect to at least the competition and the fans, that we can't just come and open up and say, come and score me.
For us, it was. I don't think it was ideal. Perhaps it was also the best, style they could have adopted against Barcelona. I'm not going to defend. We know Barcelona wouldn't defend, but at least try and score some goals. If they were a bit, efficient up front, I think maybe perhaps we wouldn't be talking about a 4-0 scoreline in favor of Barcelona.
When people try to criticize teams that do not tend to defend against very much attacking teams, I tend to disagree. You understand? Because if you look at German football, typically they don't defend.
Oh, you sure?
Yes. If you look at 2008, 2009, when Schalke came to, I think Schalke came to United and they got battered 7-0.
Yeah.
Even when they were losing 5-0, they were attacking. That is the mentality of the German side. You understand? And you see, you don't necessarily have to defend against a trident of Yamal, Lewandowski, or Raphinha. Do you have the competency level at the back? Do you have the defensive setup to be able to sustain the attack? Do you understand? You see, if you have 11 players behind the ball, the pressure and the momentum that's going to be against you is vast compared to when you are creating chances. So when you have maybe 6-5 players behind the ball and you are in transition, it gives the bigger team, it gives Barcelona a sense of what? Urgency at the back. So they are not necessarily going to commit a lot of players up front. If Dortmund had taken the 2 chances that they created in the first half, Barcelona would not have gone full throttle because they would have realized that yes, the Germans or the Dortmund side could create chances and score goals. But if they realize that no, you cannot create chances, you cannot see the spaces and create chances, then it gives them the confidence, gives them the momentum to attack you with everything that they've got, and that's exactly what happened. But you see, back to the defensive setup again. Who are their defenders? At what level are they playing? So, like we rightly indicated from the beginning, this season has been very poor for them. So, yet if I were the coach, there's no way that I'm going to sit back and defend, because
so it was the right thing to do.
It is the right tactical approach, but do they have enough firepower when it comes to the transition? No. So that is where the problem is. It is not about being set up in a defensive way. You understand? Because if you're in the defensive way, it's like, for how long can you hold on?
Yeah.
In a 90 minutes game, you're certainly going to break. You understand? But if you go out there and you attack, especially because they have Adeyemi, who is very fast.
Yeah.
They have Giroud, who on a normal day should get you a couple of goals, but he got two great chances today and he missed all of them. So it gives you a turning point. And you see, if you look at the goals that Barcelona were able to score, it's not out of creativity or any ingenuity.
Yeah.
The spaces were there. Just put the balls into the spaces and goals are going to come. Because if you are playing against a Lewandowski, who on any, and see, let's be candid with ourselves.
Yeah.
For the past 20 years, Lewandowski has been one of the 2 or 3 best strikers we have seen. Yeah. Do you understand? When it comes to goal scoring, right? From Dortmund to Bayern to Barcelona, he has demonstrated, he has shown. The evidence is there that even if he's not having a good day, he's going to get you goals. Sure. And that's the essence of a striker, right? You don't necessarily have to be pleasing. You don't necessarily have to have a good day. You don't necessarily have to have enough touches. Yours is to get a goals. And that's exactly what he's doing. I mean, 40 goal contribution this season for a man who is nearing 40 years.
40 goals, actually, not 40 goals. So
40 goals, all competition. I mean, it's incredibly, I don't want to go into the aesthetics, but the numbers, because as a center forward, you don't do with the dribbling, you don't do with the accurate passes,
the general gameplay.
Yours is the numbers. Do you understand? The numbers. And as I said, I'm not going to be surprised if they give him a year or 2-year contract.
I think they might extend for him.
No, which center forward is better than?
Oh, you have Lewandowski and you are allowing
now.
Him to. Wow.
I get to the point. You might mention Haaland. You might mention Harry Kane.
Yeah.
But are they coming to Barcelona?
No.
So you can have an understudy for the next 2-3 years. Do you understand? Barring any injury, barring any physical problems here and there. But at the end of the day, for this season and next season, I can assure you that there's no striker better than.
I think they are. When it comes to Lewandowski, I think they are just lucky to have him because he at this point, imagine if Barcelona were on the market looking for a striker at this point. They wouldn't have gotten someone like that.
They would have gotten some. But are they going to get the same
at the level?
Someone like
Not at the level of Lewandowski.
No,
not at all.
Because you're bringing maybe a Gyökeres.
No, but
it's going to cost you 60, 70 million pounds. And they do not even have the money.
And there's no way Lewandowski at the state of Barcelona now, with other clubs in the picture, there's no way he would choose to go and play for Barcelona.
Are you sure?
Oh,
it was a dream club.
It was a club at this state.
Yeah.
At the state that they can't.
Well, there are players who would even want to. You just done the jersey for them.
Of course,
Yeah.
you see, the allure of just playing for certain clubs. For example, Hazard moving from Chelsea to Madrid.
It was just a dream. It was just for the dream of it.
We tend to understand.
Madrid are in their natural state. Barcelona in its natural state, everybody will love.
But we've seen Barcelona at this state of distress, in this state of distress, like for some time now. Like for the past, but you've not really seen them.
I'm just saying that with the quality of Lewandowski, if he's moving to a club, he will look at other things.
But he appreciates the quality in the Barcelona team, doesn't he?
It's not necessarily the quality in the Barcelona team. He moved from Bayern. At the time he moved from Bayern to Barcelona, Bayern was
we're better side.
Barcelona. But for the like you rightly indicate, you see, players would love to play for a particular club. You understand? No matter the situation. When Neymar moved from Saudi Arabia, he could have gone to any big club in Europe. He had wanted to return to Santos. That is the affinity that they have with certain clubs. I get to the point. So sometimes it's not necessarily about where the club is in that particular
I'm just
situation.
trying to say that Barcelona having Lewandowski at this stage of their state is a big buy. It's something that they wouldn't lose it. And for they themselves, they appreciate having such a striker, because we live in a world where it's even difficult to find proper goal scorers, proper finishers at his caliber in even the world football. There are so many. You can mention top 5 European clubs that will kill for a striker like Lewandowski. So that's what I'm just trying to say. And for a player like him himself, he knows how important he is. That's why Osimhen knows how important he is in recent football. That's why he has the ability to call the bluff of Napoli and say, I'm going. And that's what I believe players like him, they have now in the world, because they've come to appreciate the level that
they are scarce,
they are scarce now. It's hard to find proper number 9 that would score goals and give you 30, 40 goals.
But 14 April is something else, isn't it? He might end up hitting 50.
It is not hard when it comes to the player we are talking about. It's like saying that scoring 30, 40 goals a season is hard for a Cristiano Ronaldo or a Lionel Messi.
Per his standards, 40.
That was the standard. And for the past 15 years, Lewandowski has been scoring more than 30 goals a season.
Yeah, but 40.
No, you see, that has come to be the standard for him. So if Lewandowski were to score 20 goals, we would have said that no, then he has had a bad season.
Yeah, for sure.
If it were to be another striker scoring 40 goals, we would have said that is
an extraordinary season. Yeah.
It is also an extraordinary season for Lewandowski because of the age factor. He's 40. And for you to be scoring 40 goals at the age of 40 in a very competitive league, you see, we are talking about the Spanish La Liga, you understand? And for you to get 40 goals at the age of 40, it's not an easy job.
It's not a child's play.
You understand? It's not an easy job, because you look at the numbers of Vinicius, you look at the numbers of the people that are competing with him directly, and he's far ahead of them. Even Kylian Mbappe.
Yeah.
You understand? So when you put that into context, it tells you the magnitude of what he's been able to achieve, and that's exactly the reason why Barcelona is where they are. Not necessarily because they are playing very well, you understand, but because when the chances are created, it's going to convert the chances for you, and that is the essence of having a center forward like him, like Della rightly said. And now they are scarce. You see, 10, 15 years ago, every team had a proper striker.
Of course.
Chelsea had a Didier Drogba. After him, Chelsea had Diego Costa. You know, you go to Torres. You go
Arsenal
to Man
had Van Persie.
Arsenal had Van Persie.
Yeah. So until the advent of first number 9,
or the inverted, center forwards who are more ballers, than goal scorers. We had seen
goal scorers. That's
we have proper goal scorers. Like, you understand? But now they tend to love to play more than to score.
Now we don't.
You understand?
We watch football and 1-0, and even the goals are just look at this Barcelona game. Like pass the ball, somebody will come and tap in there. Actually, play the
but talking about, there's one more principal actor whom I think is having a season himself wouldn't have ever imagined. Like, come on, 50 goals and assists in a season. He's outright the top goal scorer and top assist maker in the Champions League. I think it's unprecedented. I don't recall the last time we actually saw one player dominate a tournament like this. And even if his team should go on to win the tournament, that could be a triple crown for him, to be top scorer, top assist maker, and then, champion of the tournament. Raphinha. Like, come on, I've never rated that guy, honestly. I think I've never rated that guy. And see, the kind of season he's having is just mind-blowing. Like 50 goals and assists.
Josiah, let's put this into proper context, you understand? Rafinha is not the world beater. Let's
average at best?
No, Raphinha is more than average.
A bit above average.
No, it's more than average. You see, when he was at Leeds United, he carried the team.
Yeah.
I get to the point.
Yeah.
But that was the level then. He came to Barcelona and struggled a lot. This season has been totally different for him. I get to the point. But in comparison, you see, we don't take the performance of a player in a vacuum. We would have to compare him with his predecessors or the people that he's competing with in other teams at the highest level.
Yeah.
Right? This season is an exceptional season. But previously, and if you compare his numbers to even his Brazilian number 7s or number 11s, where are you going to place him? So yes, he's having a wonderful season, but you see, I can only rate him as one of the best or having a good season if he continues to do this on a regular basis. You cannot have.
But you don't expect him to hit another 50 goal assists.
No. I am not. That is what I'm saying. That this is an outlier.
Yeah.
This season is an outlier for Raphinha. You get to the point, and it's certainly not going to make him a world-class striker or a world-class player just by having those numbers this season. But if he's able to at least get to 20 goals, 25 goals, 30 goals next season. Again, you understand? And then the following season gets close to those numbers again. Then you can elevate his status a bit higher. That is why for the last 5 seasons, Kylian Mbappe has always been in the conversation because he's not going to get you less than 30 goals.
Yeah.
You understand? And these are the players that we are competing at the highest level. So if your numbers are consistently high, if your numbers are consistently at par with those players, then we can mention you in the same conversation. But imagine if this season your name is in the conversation, and the next season, at the end of the season, you have 10 goals, 15 goals, 10 assists or 20 goals. Then that is not the elevation you have dropped. So yes, he's having a fantastic season, but I wouldn't mention him in the conversation yet unless he demonstrates a certain level of consistency and doability when it comes to the end of the season.
But first, these are Ballon d'Or winning numbers. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. Like, it's this season or no other season for us. Like, he's practically been Barcelona's best player. This season.
I may mention that.
No, he's been their best player
by his performance, and I'm also excited.
And even if Barcelona are asked to, at least just name one player to represent them on the podium, I don't think there will be any better.
And also, football is like that because. Yeah, when he was at Leeds, like he showed the potential. He showed that he's a player that maybe he's a bit above Leeds United. And that's why we had Chelsea and Barcelona go back and forth for him. When he went into Barcelona, he kind of struggled a bit. But I think what he's showing this season, and even slightly last season to the start of this season, has perhaps made us realize that, okay, maybe the potential he has the ability to get to the level that the world and everybody saw. Because the difference between people, Ansu Fati showed potential. Right? We don't know where he is now.
No, you don't have to bring in Fati because you see, he wasn't or he isn't lucky with injuries. You understand?
No, it's part of the story. It's part of the narrative. You can't take it out.
I'm not saying Ansu Fati is a bad player.
No, I agree.
You can't take
Ansu
Fati out of the narrative.
Ansu Fati not blossoming. See, if the injuries that Ansu Fati sustained were to happen to Lamine Yamal, I doubt he's going to come back as a player.
His routine, his methods and routine is quite different. Yes, so we also need to. It's like saying Ronaldo, every player can play at age 40.
No,
LeBron James is playing at 40 because
he has done certain things.
Did some things right. So at least let's also give him the.
I disagree with him doing something right.
Ronaldo is not playing at age 40.
You're not getting the point.
Yeah.
No,
maybe what I'm saying. Let me land.
Okay, no problem.
I am not in any way.
Yeah.
Comparing Ansu Fati to
Raphinha. Yeah.
I'm just comparing potential and being able to delivery.
Yeah.
That's all. There have been players that we've seen them show their potentials. Like this guy doing ball. But delivering is different.
Yeah.
That's all that I'm saying. So Raphinha showed the potential with Leeds United.
But
everybody realized that, it looks like he's slightly above Leeds United. Okay, let's pick him and put him in a bigger team. We picked him, placed him in a bigger team. That's where you expect and say, okay, now you have moved from just being a potential to a proper player. And he's showing that, okay, he can also be a proper player. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm not in any way comparing the two players. I'm just saying there's potential and being able to live up to expectation. Lamine Yamal showed potential at the Euros. He's living up to the expectation and what people think. Even others have even said that we should wait for a while and see whether indeed. Still, people feel like Lamar is still showing potential.
Yeah, one of them.
Good.
You're one of them.
No, I think he's a solid player. I don't think he needs to.
You think he's arrived?
I don't think he needs to.
No, he hasn't arrived yet. If you look at the first season of Ansu Fati, it was fantastic. Statistically, football-wise, you understand?
Yeah.
I mean, and then the second season was also great. Then the third season, that's when the injuries started coming in.
When he was given a number 10 jersey.
When he was given a number 10 jersey, I wouldn't place it on
the level of Lamine Yamal. No, let's not make the conversation.
No, you see,
Fati,
we have
it's
not about being a Fati fan. You see, the same thing happened to Bojan Kikic.
Yeah.
What happened to Bojan Kikic was the fact that he was given the opportunity, great talent. You understand? I mean, fantastic talent. Even before Johan Kikic, we had this guy. This Mexican guy.
Dos Santos.
Yeah.
Great player.
For the past 20 years.
Great player.
For the past 20 years. I can tell you for the fact.
The
best talent to come out of the La Masia.
Giovanni Dos Santos.
Giovanni Dos Santos.
Like, Charlie.
You see, he was plagued not by injuries.
No.
But he was plagued
by the fact that Lionel Messi was there.
You understand?
Exactly.
You get a point. So sometimes talent is not nurtured because of the player not being that good enough, but because of the situation that they find themselves in.
But I think, we are saying the same thing. I am just saying potential and
I'm coming to one point.
That's all that
do you know that?
Because there are so many
Dos Santos was promoted earlier than Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
And even though Lionel Messi was older than
Dos Santos.
No,
because his potential was outstanding. But should we say if Barcelona should go on and win the title, then Ballon d'Or conversation is signed, sealed, delivered? Raphinha.
The Ballon d'Or conversation is going to be between Raphinha and Lewandowski.
Oh, within the same team?
Yes.
No, 40 goals and 50 goals and assists.
See, it's going to be...
And the Champions League, because Raphinha is likely to win the Champions League player of the season, like it or not. Outside top goal scorer, assist
kind of football
provider.
You see, when the competition is between the striker and the winger, it tends to favor the striker.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Because but the winger's impact goes beyond. Let's also understand that the winger's impact will go beyond goals.
You have assists more than Lewandowski.
And you scored more. You scored more in the Champions League.
I am saying that. You see, most of the time, those of us who vote.
Wait, I'm coming.
Yeah.
I'm just coming to make a passing comment. Yeah. So Raphinha is going to win Ballon d'Or with this football.
With football. It's the numbers.
We are not. You see, we are not. See, we are not. No, we are not saying that he's going to win because there's a Dembele.
There's a higher possibility that
the numbers to attain 50 goals and assists.
No, I get a point. The way I would vote is different from the way you would vote. I might look at the numbers.
At this point, there's Dembele. There's Kylian Mbappe. There's Raphinha.
There's Raphinha.
And there's
Lewandowski.
No, there's no Lewandowski.
No, I don't think that-
He's not even been in the conversation so far. It's either we drop Dembele. It's either we drop Dembele.
No, you can't drop Dembele.
Yes, that's it. So at this point, the front three, the runners would be Dembele, Kylian Mbappe, and then Raphinha.
And do you know what is going to make it?
No, but like this thing pipeline, Liverpool no come out like
Salah would have been.
Salah would have been.
Do you know what is going to elevate? You know what is going to elevate Kylian Mbappe? If he does the magic next week.
The comeback. Yes. all right. So let's also talk about the PSG game. Like Villa, with all the evidence, I think maybe they were given a reality check because we saw Villa, with even the money they dug out for them. Very, very, awesome tactician. But then you don't take anything away from PSG. This is by far the best PSG side I've seen since the takeover. Yeah. I've not seen a well-drilled, balanced PSG team. Even with the stars, at some point with the stars. I think this is the best.
Proper Champions League character. Like efficient, don't give up.
No, they have.
They've gone down twice in this Champions League game against Liverpool and even against Villa. Villa scored the first goal.
Yeah, they managed
to come back, scored brilliant goals, and from just as you said, I think you are not missing your words.
You've missed the point against Man City.
Yeah, they also did it against City. Yeah. So City, Liverpool,
they were 2 goals down against City.
Yeah,
and they won by 4 goals.
And by far, just as you said, and I think we all unanimously agree. By far, this should be the best. This is not even should be.
Credit to Enrique.
Yes, he's done an excellent job. Even with not with the big,
the stars.
That times they used to have Pochettino's time. They had wild.
No, there are some crazy players there.
But look at now, he's turned the team, all-round team, never give up, turn Dembele around.
That's even the biggest miracle.
When you say turn Dembele around, I have a problem with it. The talent has always been there.
The guy has not been efficient. But
you see, for Barcelona to go to Dortmund and pay 120 million pounds, right?
That's potential. You see, he's coming.
The potential and reality.
You are now bringing out the best in him. It's not a turnaround.
It took a 30 or 29-year-old Dembele or 20
Dembele has been functioning at a level that we can say has been good.
Yeah.
But for him to justify the potential that we saw in 2007, 2008 season, you understand? To the extent that he was for 2-3 seasons the most expensive player in the world. I get to the point. But you see, we tend to talk about good teams without giving credence to the coach. When Luis Enrique was approached by Chelsea after they sacked was the name Thomas Tuchel also after they sacked Pochettino.
Yeah.
I felt that the project was ripe and right for him. You understand? I mean, this is a tactician that we have known for quite a while. Barcelona, Roma, and then currently at PSG.
Yes.
So when Todd Boehly said that his plans do not align with the vision of the ownership, I was like, what the fuck?
No, man, the people at Chelsea, they don't know what they are doing. No, don't bring them.
Maybe after further, initial discussions, perhaps it happens. Because Ancelotti, in an ideal world, Ancelotti would have been the manager of Liverpool even before Klopp. Sometimes it happens. Let's just understand. Sometimes mutually there's no understanding.
Josiah, it's not about the idea or the philosophy of the
people. The people at Chelsea, they don't even have the ideas. They don't worry yourself.
I just want to show the level or the caliber of coach.
He's a top coach.
But how can you say
tactically? He outsmarted and outwitted Slot over 2 legs.
Like they move away from this and go and take their Potter and Lampard and
No, you see, Graham Potter was a good coach when he was at Brentford.
Yeah.
The elevation was too much for him. You see, sometimes we tend to forget the fact that even if a team is in recession, the fans are accustomed to winning. For 20, there are fans that do not know that before 2004
we're not winning.
You understand? So they've gone to grow. They've come to accept the fact that Chelsea, even if they are in recession or even if they are in rebuilding, they should not be dormant. I get to the point. That is what was lost on Graham Potter. He thought I was going to be given a 5 years, 6 years, 7 years project. Because at the end of the day, if Chelsea becomes like United, or Arsenal, then it means that the competition is going to be between Man City and Liverpool. And it didn't happen for 7 years. For Man City to have won four consecutive times. So it tells you how weakened the other teams are. Yeah. So it comes back again. Sometimes you would need the best coaches. Right, to break the dominance of some of the clubs that we have had, and Luis Enrique is a typical example. He's gone to France, and he's shown that what, in as much as the French league is not as competitive as the English league, the Italian Serie A, the Serie A, he's come to the Champions League and he's beaten the top-notch coaches that are in the bigger leagues. So it just tells you that what, this is a coach that has shown his mettle, he's shown his worth, and he's shown his pedigree among the best.
Could this be their year, PSG? Like,
to be honest, I think
everybody's year could be this year.
Yeah, I think this.
It might not be Arsenal's year. I doubt. No, because there's a possibility for Arsenal might, face PSG in the next round.
But you see, let's be holistic here. Okay, what Arsenal did yesterday, not even the goals could have
predicted that.
No, it's impossible. No, it's factual. You understand? Even the Arsenal faithfuls, even the coach would have been surprised. No, it's a fact.
Yeah.
The fact that Arsenal was able to annihilate Real Madrid
3-0.
Not necessarily in the scoreline, but for 90 minutes, right? Control the tempo of the game, control the mechanisms of the game, control the space.
But guys, to be fair, I think this year's Champions League is between PSG and Arsenal.
Oh, really? Are we already taking Barcelona out of the equation?
Yeah, Barcelona also there, but
before we move on, quickly.
If Barcelona beats either teams, they will struggle.
Okay, so we've seen how the first legs of the 4 games has already gone. Let's quickly, just look at the teams that have got the potential to make it. I think, the first one has to do with the Arsenal Real Madrid game. Quickly, you think Arsenal are still making it, or before we delve into
Real Madrid will qualify, but the only thing is that it's not going to be the greatest comeback. You understand? Because
with a 3-0,
no, it
wouldn't be the greatest.
No, because we have seen some of those. You understand? Because we saw Barcelona go to Anfield and got humiliated.
Yeah.
We saw
PSG,
we saw Barcelona go to Rome and got humiliated.
Oh, yeah.
You remember, right?
Yeah.
We saw PSG go to the new camp and got humiliated. So we have seen it being done. So it is not going to be news. My only problem is that it's going to deflate the ego of Arsenal. Because for them to not...
But do they even require that at this point of the season where there's only the Champions League to fight for?
No, it is, because you see, for the past 3-4 seasons, Arsenal has been the biggest challenger for Man City. So everybody thought naturally that if Man City doesn't win the Premier League, it's going to be Arsenal. But look at what is happening currently. It is Liverpool rather who is winning the league. So it calls into question the experience, the mentality, the exposure that the players have. So if they bottle it again in the Champions League, it's going to affect them totally. You understand? Because then for the past 4-5 years, what Arteta has been able to build, and everybody thought, or everybody thinks that they're going to build upon, has been broken.
Oh, interesting. But you think Madrid will go?
At the Bernabeu.
You think Madrid will go?
Madrid will qualify.
Quickly, Madrid.
I don't think so. I think
Arsenal will still go.
Because I think the last time we were here, I mentioned that in as much as I think Madrid are favorites, Arteta has only one job to do, to tell the players that the Champions League is perhaps the only title that we can fight for. And I think that's basically the motivation they needed to be able to play. So, and going into 3-0, I think
3 up.
Yeah,
no, 3 up is not that much.
For Arsenal to sit down for
see, because we have seen it. We have seen Madrid coming back against Chelsea at the Bernabeu. We have seen Madrid coming back against what's the name, Man City.
But now we're 3-0.
We have seen Madrid coming back against Man City twice at the Bernabeu, right? Even against Dortmund last season. So it just tells you that what at the Bernabeu, nothing. Nothing is cast in stone.
I think we all unanimously agree that Bayern are out. Oh, there's a chance.
Bayern are not out.
They're not out. You think Bayern are out?
Bayern are never out.
I don't think they're out. It's just 1-0.
No, but you think 2-1. So 1 goal deficit. You think Bayern are going to qualify ahead of Inter?
No, it's going to
be. They'll come. They'll give them a competition. But I won't be surprised if they stay.
Bayern stay.
Yeah.
So Bayern are would be able to beat Inter the Giuseppe Meazza. You also think so?
Of course. You see, Bayern can beat Inter if Harry Kane comes to the party because the job is going to be dependent on him now since Musiala is out of the equation.
Yeah.
And you see, now Olise must take more responsibility because he's playing ahead of, what's the name? Serge Gnabry. Yeah. So he would have to take much more responsibility. And you see, if Harry Kane tend to drop more, it's going to affect the collective. It's going to affect the collective because then the goal input is going to drop.
Yeah.
But if you have players who can carry the ball to him, that is where he is most effective. That is where he can hit or hurt Inter Milan. So who are going to carry the balls to him?
Bayern has it in them not to take them out of here. So Bayern has it in them to turn things around.
Oh, of course they can.
So I just want finally, you think Inter are going to Bayern?
No, I think Bayern are going.
Bayern, you think? Bayern. Whoa, I'll go for Inter. Come on. So quickly, these two games. I think PSG.
PSG qualified.
And then Barcelona also. Barcelona are also in. Now, okay, so that's with it with the UEFA Champions League, review after the first leg round of games. Big wins for Barcelona and then also Arsenal. But then still KG, and keenly contested 4 in the second leg between PSG, Aston Villa, and then also the Bayern Inter game.